Hey guys, so I'm going to show you how I do my bushy soap brows because I've had people ask me before what soap brows are, and I started using this method like a few months ago and I really do like it. You don't even have to fill in your eyebrows to do this. I just like to fill in my eyebrows anyway. So a lot of people are doing this now to their brows. Obviously some people aren't going to like it. This is what I personally like to do. Really quick before I show you guys how I do this, I just want to say that I like to use a powder for my brows. I just use eyeshadows. I'll show you everything that I use, but I think that if you're looking for a more natural brow, I wouldn't really say that this is not natural looking. It just looks more natural than using a pomade or a pencil, in my opinion. And it's a lot easier to use. It's a lot easier to manipulate. It's easier to correct if you make any mistakes, and it just looks the most natural. If you guys are interested in seeing how I achieve this look, then keep watching. So you're gonna need a mirror. You're gonna need I like to use powders, so I'm gonna use these darkest two ones in my MAC palette. This one's the Nordstrom one. These are the all mattes. Obviously don't use glitter in your eyebrows. I just don't think that's the best idea. You'll need an eyebrow brush. This one is so old. I've had this since Riley was like 1, but it's like my favorite one. It was a Tarte one. You're gonna need a spoolie. I don't know what other names there are for this. I just call it a spoolie. Then you're gonna want Pears bar soap, or any kind of bar soap that has glycerin in it. I wouldn't suggest using Dove unless they have one that has glycerin that's like kind of see-through. And then water, like a very, very small amount of water. But I'm gonna use my MAC Fix Plus spray. My brows, obviously they look completely different, but I honestly like the big bushy brows. I'm gonna mostly just use this color here. It's like a dark brown, and then there's black, and I do use a little bit of the black. So first, I'll take my brow brush and I'll dip into the lighter of the two shades, and I start with the bottom portion of my brow. This one's probably not even perfectly how I want it, but I was kind of in a hurry. My lashes are in the way. Normally I do my brows first. It's kind of dark in here too, but I'm gonna just do the bottom part of my brow. And honestly, it doesn't have to be super perfect because, I mean, I kind of make the bottom of mine like super like cut out basically, but it doesn't have to be, especially if you like that messy look. But just follow the natural shape of your brow. Normally I'm used to having a super bright light on when I'm doing my makeup. Also, I like to extend my brows in farther a little bit. Normally, like a good rule of thumb with brows is you want your brow to start right where this part of your nose is, like where the nostril starts. My brows are kind of, I don't know if it's because I used to just tweeze right here and wax right here all the time, but now I'm starting to kind of try to let them grow in a little bit more because it just makes such a big difference. It just looks better, I think. But first, before I do that part, I like to fill in the top and the middle. And this part really doesn't have to be perfect because this is like we're pushing the brows up. This part just really doesn't even need to be that perfect. I always like to bring mine up a little bit too, like up above the natural line, like where the hairs are. Like overdraw them a little bit to make them a little bit thicker. And keep in mind your brows are never gonna match. The kids are being so loud, I'm so sorry. So your brows are never gonna look exactly the same. If you've ever heard that saying, your brows are sisters, not twins. So bear with me while I try to do my brows in the dark here. Anyway, okay, so this is the part where it gets interesting. This is, everybody already knows how to fill in their brows. I use a powder because I feel like it just looks more natural. I like it the best. So to bring my brow in a little bit more, what I do is basically, it's so easy. You just extend it. Use a light hand because you don't want to go crazy. Like that. And then you kind of just make your, like you draw little hairs going up with your brush. Like that. And it seriously just looks so natural. So that's with all the same color powder. Sometimes I'll go in with the darker one, and usually I start, I'm so sorry, my kids are being extremely loud. So now I'm taking the darker powder, and just to kind of like give it more dimension, I add a couple more little dark hairs like that. There we go. Like that. Okay, so this is the fun part. This is the part that everybody's always interested in. You honestly could do this without even filling in your brows too, and it'll kind of just make them really feathery and it makes them look really nice. What I normally do in the bathroom is I'll run this under the water for like a quick second. I'm just gonna spray this one quick time. Actually, I think this is already kind of wet, but spray it once, and then I'm gonna get it on the soap. This brush is kind of dirty because I just did my brow, this brow with it, and it has eyeshadow on it. But you take it and you just literally start brushing your hairs up like this. And I actually, sometimes you do need to wet it a little bit more, so I am wetting it a little bit more and then going back in with the soap like this. And honestly, you could use a brow gel and it would probably be less effort, but honestly, brow gels are so expensive. So instead of spending 20 to 30 bucks on a brow gel, I need to wet this more. You can literally just use a huge ass bar soap like this, and you save so much money. I mean, brow gel is the size of a mascara, which I don't have on me right now. But honestly, I love Fix Plus, don't get me wrong, but that just does not work very well for that. So I'm just gonna use regular water, my drinking water, since that's all that's near me right now. So I'm gonna have to wash that cup after this. You don't want it to be too wet. If you see suds, it's probably too wet. So kind of just go in a drier spot and start rubbing it off right there. But yeah, brow gel is like this size usually, maybe smaller, and it's like could be like 20 to 30 bucks for a good one. And it's just not, I mean, who wants to spend that much money ever? So I found this little trick and I love it. I've been doing this forever. And your eyebrows will stay like this all day long. They look crazy. They don't even match, but basically that's the concept. Your brows do feel a little bit hard. Like once it dries, you don't even notice it, but at first it will feel weird, like kind of crusty and like, sounds so gross. Like that's such a gross word, but it's gonna feel weird at first. But once it sets and dries, it really doesn't feel any different than they normally would. Some of you might think that they look crazy and you probably don't like them, but honestly, I love how it looks. So that's how my brows look at the end. Obviously, they are never gonna look exactly the same, and especially my brows, like this one always arches higher. Anyway, I had a lot of people ask me about my brows and how I did them, and I had people curious about what soap brows were because I've been doing this to my brows for a while now. So that's how I do my brows. Yeah, that's pretty much it. I hope you guys found this helpful, and I will talk to you next time. Bye. Yes! Not done.